Most reptiles that we keep in captivity are fairly docile, but sometimes you want something with more of an attitude. So today, let's go over the top 5 reptiles that are definitely gonna bite you. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles, stick around. There are certain reptiles that are way more likely to bite you than other reptiles. So today's list isn't to vilify animals. These are just animals that, if unsocialized, are likely going to bite you. And it's because some people actually like animals that are cantankerous, not to villainize them. There are no Satan sausages or brutal reptiles that are trying to kill you. These are just the ones that are known for having a less than non-bitey personality. Okay, let's just get into the list. Number 5, Savannah Monitors. Now I know all the Savannah Monitor people are gonna get bent out of shape. I get it. Savannah Monitors, if they are bred in captivity, which is super rare, can be great pets, and they can be tamed down. The point of the list, though, is these animals, if they're unsocialized in the way that you would normally get them, in this case, wild caught, brought over with diseases and parasites and things like that, they're probably gonna bite you. And the bite sucks, by the way. Now, it's not gonna be a life-threatening bite, it's not gonna be something that ruins your entire day, but it's still gonna suck. Now, these animals, if you get them very young out of an egg that was bred in captivity, then you can socialize them. And when they're small, the bites don't suck as much. But most of the time, these things come in from Africa, which is where they're from. They are unsocialized for sure, and they are coming in kind of sick. So if you were sick and you were just shipped in a container for several weeks without water, you'd probably be a little bit upset as well. And some reptiles, I would say, are worth the hassle, but with Savannah Monitors, they could be for sure. I'm not saying these are bad pets or bad reptiles. I'm just saying that you're gonna take a few bites in the taming process. They are big, they need huge enclosures with lots of lights because it needs to be super duper hot. These are not a beginner level species at all. None of these are gonna be beginner level species, but especially something that's going to get to up to 4 feet. These are big boys. These guys need lots of space. And a big animal that gets to 4 feet or something around there that's gonna bite you, like, okay, maybe it actually kind of would ruin your day a bit. Number 4, African rock pythons. I don't really talk about A-Rocks on this channel too much.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody walking on the face of the earth trying to judge a J-Rock, you know what I'm saying?
Just simply because they're not great pets, and I focus on great pets. The reason that they're not great pets is not because they are demons or Satan sausages, as I said before, nothing like that. It's just that these guys aren't bred in captivity very much, and it turns out that the more you breed in captivity generation after generation, for many species anyway, like Burmese pythons, which are very similar, they become kind of like puppy dogs. My Burmese pythons are great. I absolutely love them. Even my big guy. They're amazing. They're some of my favorites. And although an African rock python to an untrained eye might look exactly like a Burm, the difference is going to be them lunging at your face, which is a large lunge because they are a big snake. We're talking 10, 13, even bigger, even more feet than 10 or 13 feet. I should have said feet first and then continued. 10 to 13 feet or even bigger, more feet. They don't have any feet, actually. They're snakes. They have no feet. They're big snakes, and if they bite you, it sucks. These guys have giant jaws. Now, don't let this photo scare you. This is a fake photo, but it doesn't really matter. Neither here nor there. If they get you, it's gonna suck. Now, you can tame them out as babies, and if you get a captive bred, it's going to help you way more than if you were to get something that was wild caught, which I don't think you see too much now, but you definitely did 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, depending on what part of the world that you're in, of course. Personally, I think rock pythons are beautiful. I think that they should not be villainized the way that they are. They got a bad rap, especially because of things like that 2013 attack where the python... Anyway, you can read the Wikipedia article of how ridiculous the story is, but these guys, they just have a bad rap, and I don't think that they necessarily deserve it, but if you get one the way most people get them, which is not socialized, you're probably gonna take a bite, and it's gonna suck. Number 3, Dwarf Caimans. Now, normally I say things on these lists must be common pets, or at least in the pet trade, and these guys are, which is ridiculous. I didn't really know that it was everywhere, because I do see that there are Dwarf Caimans, which people don't label as Dwarf Caimans. They call them like bitey boys or something in the ads on Kijiji, because they're freaking illegal here. You can't have crocodilians where I live. I think most of Canada has outlawed them. So you can't have a dwarf caiman. And by the way, when I say dwarf caiman, some people think, oh, they're so cute. They stay like this big. And then, oh, if they bite you, whoopsies. But no, they get to like 4-5 feet. These things do get massive. And if they bite you, you're going to the hospital for stitches if they get you good. Which they want to, because I've never seen a dwarf caiman, maybe besides someone like an expert, like a Kevin McCurley, that would tame one out. But I'm talking about something you'd buy from Joe Blow, who's in his mom's basement breeding these things. These guys are not breeding them or socializing them to not bite you. These things are going to bite you. And just because this is the smallest crocodilian in the world, doesn't mean that they need a small enclosure. It's a 5-foot crocodilian. It still needs a massive enclosure, something bigger than most of us are able to facilitate. Where are you going? Come back. So personally, I don't think most of us should have this as a pet. I mean, I am not someone who says you should keep this or you shouldn't keep that. I'm just saying that if you're looking for animals that are super duper cool, this one should be on your list of animals to print out and make a poster and stick on your wall, but don't actually get the actual thing because it's going to be hard to take care of, and these things, well, they're gonna try to bite you. They're crocodilians. Crocodilians bite stuff. Oh yeah, and they're super cheap, so it's a lot of impulse buying. But the thing is, you can't impulse buy $1,000 enclosure, which is what you're gonna need. That's the cheap end, by the way. I get impulse buying. I'm the guy that buys the gum at the checkout, even though I've already got 13 things of gum in my truck. I get it, but don't buy these things just because they're cheap and super cute. They're gonna get big, expensive, and they're still kind of cute, actually, so. Anyway, caimans are cool, but not for most of us. Number 2, and something I don't think I've ever spoken about before, Amazon tree boas. I love Amazon tree boas. I almost bought one, and I don't buy animals that I can't handle. And these guys generally are not a great handling species. Now, I could have put green tree pythons or emerald tree boas on the list, but those actually tame out a little bit better. They're more common, there's more years of breeding, there's more experts on how to tame them down. With Amazon tree boas, they are less popular, there's less breeding going on in captivity, and I think there's still exports coming in, or imports, I guess. So these guys, they're not known for not biting. Let's just say it like that. These guys are likely going to pop at you. They are notorious for being bitey boys. They are notoriously extremely defensive. And if you are a tiny, skinny little noodle, they do get kind of long, but they're super skinny. So if I was that animal, I'd be wanting to bite you too, because they're fragile. When you handle these things, a lot of people will take them out on a hook and let them wrap around that hook, not just to be away from their bite, but so that they don't accidentally grab them too hard, because they are fragile. They're small. Now, this isn't all doom and gloom. I think that these are amazing snakes. I think that if you want something that you want for just a display, something that's what I was going to do, make something 6 feet tall by say 4 feet or 3 feet wide, that sort of thing, that would be a beautiful display enclosure for one of these. I think it'd be absolutely gorgeous. And you can get things like Halloween phase. You can get all sorts of crazy colors. So they're absolutely like living art, in my opinion. But I just don't think that if you want a handling animal, this is for you. If you want a boa that's gonna be in the trees, just get like a regular common boa. Those guys can be handled all day long and are much easier to tame down than an Amazon tree boa, which are generally underrated, by the way. I think Amazon tree boas are underrated if you want something that you don't necessarily need to handle. All right, number 1 reptile that is going to bite you if you don't get your hands out of the way, alligator snapping turtles, or common snapping turtles. I'll just put them together. The difference is alligator snapping turtles generally, well, they're gonna be huge, first of all, right? Super big. They are going to take chunks out of you if you let them, but you can grab them kind of like, I'll show a picture or a video or whatever of Jay Brewer picking up his. He's got one, and you can just kind of pick it up like this, under the shell where his hand is, you see that? With a common snapping turtle, you can't, because they will bite you if you grab them there. They have a much more dexterous neck. Is that dexterity? Dexterous has to be a word, right? Showing or having skill, especially with hands. Okay, maybe that's not what I was looking for. They're more flexible. They'll be able to bite you like that. Now, it won't be as bad as an alligator snapping turtle, but a common snapping turtle biting you it's gonna ruin your day also. It'll take off digits if it bites your finger. It can definitely snap off your finger. It can take chunks out of your flesh. If you let it bite your foot, that's going to be you're going to be working at IHOP for the rest of the day, that's for sure. So I think that these are terrible pets for most of us. Now, there are experts, right? There are the snake discoveries of the world that I think are experts and can take care of these and have the room and have a facility and have a staff. But for you or me, they just get too big. And some people think that, oh, well, it's a common snapping turtle, they stay small. No, they don't. They still get pretty big. And as far as I know, and I would love to be corrected if I'm wrong, I don't think that there are any cases where someone's tamed them down to the point where you could, to put your hand in front of their face and they're not going to try to make a meal of you. So I think that these are terrible pets. For most of us, amazing species, and something if you had a facility zoo staff, that'd be a different thing. But private collections, probably not. So there you go. Those are my top 5 reptiles that are definitely, probably, most likely going to bite you. What do you think? Do you like cantankerous animals? Let me know in the comment section. And if you have an idea for next week's video, drop it down there too. That's where I get all the ideas. I want to say thank you. If you hit like and subscribe, it costs you $0, but helps this channel immensely, and Diamond appreciates it. And a special thank you, as always, to the Patreon supporters. You guys are freaking amazing. We just dropped some new merch. You guys get discounts on that. These videos early, extra videos. I share photos of, oh yeah, something super exciting happened the other day. Anyway, go to Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and you can see all that and more. And I think that's it. No, there's no and. That's it. I will see you on Thursday.